And good evening, you're listening to the Modern Mystic Radio Show. I'm your host, Sarah, and you're listening to A1R Psychic Radio, the world's #1 psychic radio network, and of course, Moonstruck TV. Okay, so I hope you've been having a wonderful week so far, but what I want to talk to you today about is, what are you manifesting? What is it that you're manifesting? Believe it or not, you are manifesting right now. You're manifesting your little socks off. But what is it that you're manifesting? Is it joy? Is it abundance? Is it happiness? Or is it fear? Is it lack? Or is it frustration? What are the emotions that you're manifesting? Don't worry too much about the specifics, but what is your life telling you? Okay? Because that will give you a really, really clear indication of actually what's going on behind the scenes, what your subconscious mind is up to. So looking at the feelings of each day and what you're manifesting, your life right now, what is it saying to you? Now, what I want to talk to you today about is my manifesting journey, how I went from that feeling of lack and manifesting lack, frustration and unhappiness to actually the complete opposite and doing what I love doing what I'm doing today, tonight. So what I want to tell you really is how that will happen. So I need to set the scene for you. So yes, I've been working as a psychic for 27 years, but I've also had other jobs. Now, initially when I first started at 17, I would do this pretty much all the time, but I found myself in a situation, I had children, and all of a sudden I found myself alone. You know, that wasn't part of the plan, it wasn't what I was trying to manifest, but I found myself as a single parent having to do the 9 to 5 to kind of keep a roof over our heads, to put food on the table, to pay bills, etc. So the scene was just before I took my major leap of faith, which I'll go into shortly, was that I constantly manifested job after job after job that just wouldn't work out. I don't know whether you've ever felt like that. I don't know whether you can relate to what I'm saying, but I would find myself in a situation where I would have really is just not enough. It would pay for certain things, but I'd always be without. I would never have the luxuries or the savings or anything like that. So it's always just keeping my head above water. And something would always happen with each and every job. And it even got to the point where it was a standing joke, you know, what's going to go wrong next? What's going to go wrong with this job? And it got to the point, this is about a year before I took that leap of faith, and very, very much interested in the law of attraction. And, you know, you get it in your head, right, if I'm going to do whatever it is that, you know, I love doing, say, for instance, it's starting a spiritual business or whatever, you know, opening a cafe, whatever it is that your dream is, you know, you kind of get it into your head where you have to do something major to get to that point. And, you know, I was in the same boat as many others out there, thinking, well, I would have to win the lottery if that was going to, you know, if I was going to do that, I'd have to win the lottery. So I'd try and busy myself manifesting that. And guess what? That didn't happen. But what I did do, and I'm going to kind of give you some key points as to what led me into taking that leap of faith. I did about a year before I took that leap of faith, I wrote myself a letter from my future self to my present self. Number one, saying that I'd won the lottery, I have to say that. But everything else within this letter was, I'm doing my psychic work, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, we're having a wonderful time, etc., etc. I wrote it down in great detail and then put it to one side and sort of, you know, forgot about it basically, and carried on with my 9 to 5 job. And then it was probably my last job. I took this job on and it was a contract position. It wasn't a permanent position, but I knew from the very first moment that that was going to be my last job. Now, I had at that point, like I said, I had 3 children, a house, I was on my own, no savings, no business built up, because this is another sort of false conception, if you like, that you need to, you're going to build up that business and then you're going to step into it and that's how it's going to work. This is what a lot of people believe, and it doesn't always work like that. It didn't with me. So I had a website and it wasn't really doing anything. So I was a bit despondent about it, but still doing my 9 to 5. I knew this last job was actually going to be my very, very last job. So when that came to a close, as I knew it would, I started asking for signs from Spirit. I said, right, okay, if this is what you want me to do, working psychically, give me a sign. And then I had a very, very powerful dream of where I was escorted from my work premises, and I walked straight into a psychic business, a psychic shop that had just been opening up, or was just opening up. So that was my first sign. I thought, okay, right, well, it's a dream. Give me another sign. And then out of nowhere, within 24 hours, I had all of these inquiries coming in either through my website or through my previous work. So I thought, okay, so this is quite a powerful indication. And it was excessive. So I decided to take that leap of faith. My job came to a close. And this time round, I thought, I'm not actually going to look for another job. I feel like I can't do this anymore. And that's when I took my massive, massive leap of faith. And I have to say, I was absolutely terrified of taking this step, because in my mind, as you do, if you're planning these things, you have all these calculations in front of you. I was making all the mistakes, if you like, in my mind that a lot of people have when they're kind of reaching that leap of faith moment, that they've got to, take a pay cut, or they're not going to be earning enough. And that is the biggest block standing in your way. And the thing is, it's not even true. You think, well, I'm going to be earning less. Why are you thinking you're going to be earning less when you could in fact be earning more? So I took that leap of faith, and like I said, I was terrified. I remember sitting at the top of my stairs with my head in my hands, crying, sobbing to the universe, saying, oh my goodness, what have I done here? This had better work. Please make this work. And the first month, it was quite hard. I also thought that I had to work all the hours God sends, and actually that hasn't been the case at all. All these things were going through my mind, things that I was conditioned to believe that didn't actually bear any truth, in reality and in the way things have turned out. So I took that massive leap of faith, and to be honest with you, I've never, ever, ever looked back. That was quite a few years ago now. But, if you're in that situation where you want to change your reality, and like I said, I use the letter from my future self to my present self. But I also did something which I call is a mindset switch, because if you're kind of trapped within your reality and you can't kind of see a way out that's going to be feasible, and you're constantly, all you can see is the lack, you're stuck in your 9 to 5, that's what you're looking at each and every day. I use a mindset switch, or I call a mindset switch, which is literally manifesting one piece of good news per day, and then at the end of the day you sit down and you reflect what that piece of good news is. It could be that somebody's bought you a cup of coffee, or somebody said something nice to you, whatever, however small it needs to be to start off. And then what happens is when you start identifying, the one good piece of good news, or maybe more than that, it starts multiplying, and it builds your confidence in your ability to manifest. So try that one out. It's a very powerful technique, and it does start to turn things around for you if manifesting is what you need to kind of tackle. Because like I said, you're doing it already, but are you doing it in the way that you want? You see your reality being manifested in the way that you would like to see it. Okay, so give that some thought. Okay, so I have my first caller, and this is Courtney in Blackwood, New Jersey. Hi, Courtney, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hiya, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the show. Do you have a question for me? Is there anything you want me to look at for you tonight?
Yes, I guess just when I have a lot of anxiety right now, over certain things, and I was just wondering if that would get any better anytime soon.
Okay, right. Let's just have a quick look at that anxiety for you.
Yes.
Specifically, sort of what area of your life is that falling into?
I guess with like my health and my relationship with people.
Right, okay, let's have a look and see what I've got for you. Because anxiety fundamentally is sort of what I call like extreme fear. And let's just have a look and see what we can do to kind of get that out of your system and balancing here. Right, okay, so I feel, so it's health and relationships. Let me just tune in here for you. All right. So this is all about what I'm being drawn towards is talking about how you feel about you, okay? Because fundamentally, what I'm being told here is that you, for whatever reason, do not feel like you're good enough. Now, this could come from somebody else, previous situation, but I feel like this is the underlying element here of being rejected, if that makes sense. Can you relate to that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So what I feel here is almost like I want to almost like turn you around so we can kind of sort of face that and almost like face that head on. Okay. So the relationship, as I can see it, I feel like it is on stable footing, and I feel like I've got a balancing coming in. But as you start to, what I feel is like empower yourself a lot more, so really going within, reaffirming all those positive things that are about you, that you have already. And what I'm being told by my guides is there are many, many things that you could focus on. You know, it's just about what you know, where your mind is kind of, or how your mind is operating at the moment. Is kind of focusing on the few negatives rather than all those wonderful positives. Does that make sense? And that, to be honest with you, is human nature. You know, we may have a wonderful time, but we focus on that one incident in that day that wasn't so good, and that can kind of upset that upsets the whole day, doesn't it? So what I feel here is that you've got to kind of retrain your brain, because at the moment it feels like your mind, your emotions are stuck in this kind of negative feeling. And I feel like it's not that you are thinking negatively, but it's the feeling. Does that make sense? It's the feeling that's negative. Then I feel like I've got you looking, thinking, why do I feel negative? And all these things pop in your head. So it's kind of going the other way round. It's not that you're thinking negatively and then that brings your mood down. Your mood is down, and so therefore you think negatively. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. So what I feel here is if you can kind of start to turn that around, like I said, really, really focus on all those wonderful positive aspects here. Because I feel like if I'm looking at you, I feel like the core issues that we're looking at go way back, go way back into your past. But what I also feel here is it's not necessary, really, to kind of delve deeply into that, okay, and relive it. That's not going to actually change anything specifically. But what you are being asked to do, and particularly what I'm being shown here with the anxiety side of it, is right, okay, when you get those moments, when you get those feelings, is take a deep breath and bring yourself into this present moment, okay? And when you do that, you will see, actually, it's okay. Right this second, I'm fine. I'm standing up. I've got my, my health right now. I've got my relationship right now. Right now, everything is actually quite good. Okay. And that's what you kind of need to do when you get deep into those emotions, or they overtake you. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me completely.
Right. I'm looking at the relationship here. So I feel like you're with somebody that has quite a strong personality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I get a strong energy around this person. And I also feel here that, from your perception, the relationship can sometimes be quite hard work,
Right.
It's a bit of an uphill battle. But the connection between the two of you, I feel, is incredibly intense. And I want to say here, I feel like I've got a soulmate relationship, but I also feel that soulmate relationship is, not only is it powerful and it's strong and it's dynamic, it's intense, but I also feel here that it does come with its challenges. And one of those challenges is to, how can I put it? It's almost like I want to say to accept the relationship, to accept it as it is. And then I feel like I've got it growing. And because I feel like there's some sort of resistance between the two of you. I get like a conflict coming in. So it's almost like with your partner, I feel like they want you to be, they want you to behave in a certain way or be in a certain way. And when you're not, I feel like that causes conflict. And with you, if I look at what's going on there with you, is that, how can I put it? Do they sometimes kind of close off emotionally to you?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, because I feel like that puts you into a state of panic. Does that make sense? I feel, which is not helping the whole situation. So I feel here, again, it's like when he emotionally closes off, one thing that you've got to kind of keep in your mind is that this is his way of dealing with this is his way of dealing with life, because I feel like I've got a multitude of different reasons as to why he closes off. However, what I feel is that you take it very personally.
Yes, yes, I do.
You
take
when he
doesn't talk to me.
as you, and it doesn't matter what he says, you take it personally. So what I feel here is almost like, okay, and it causes conflict because it brings you down, because you feel like you haven't got that connection. But to try and look at it from a different perspective, that this is his way of dealing with it and it's not a reflection of the relationship. Okay? Then I feel like I've got a bit of a balancing out between the two of you. Because what I'm being shown here is that the relationship has massive potential. Fundamentally, he will stop being so closed off. He will stop being so closed off, which will bring, how can I put it, it brings you back into balance. But it's almost like the key to that, and this is what I'm being told here, the key to it is for you to kind of accept yourself, and almost like radiate your true essence, all those good things. Right at the beginning I said, concentrate on all those positive aspects about yourself. Really celebrate those. Start to celebrate those. And it will be a difficult thing to kind of switch into. So it's going to take a little bit of practice for you to get there. But I want to say here, I feel, if you put some determined effort into it, I feel within a few months' time, you're not going to be feeling the way you are at the moment, and the relationship would have balanced out by that time. Because I feel, yes, he has got a very, very strong personality, but so have you.
Yes.
You're equally as strong, and I feel, there is a slight kind of conflict when I'm looking at the dynamics and him wanting to kind of be, the man, the leader in the relationship, right. But he's also got to accept the fact that it's equal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
With it being, quite a strong soul connection, this whole equality thing, really does need to be put firmly in place.
Okay.
Okay, does that help at all?
What's that?
Does that help?
Yeah, that
helps.
All? That helps, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Take care.
All right, thanks. You too.
Bye. Okay, so I have now got my next caller, and this is Pauline from Perth, Western Australia. Hello, Pauline.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the show. Do you have a question for me? Is there anything you want me to look at for you tonight?
Nothing in particular. I just need to know, I don't know, there's so much going on.
Okay. Right, so is it more of a general overview that you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, because there's just so much upheaval at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on.
Right, okay. Let's just have a look and see what I get for you. Right, let's just see what I've got. Okay, so great big changes are coming in. Absolute transition. Moving. I feel very challenged here as I look at your cards. I really want to say, I feel as though, how can I put it? I feel like there's the element of having to make very big decisions here that I'm not quite sure whether you've made yet or not, but I feel like what it's kind of pushing you into is a complete transformation of your present set of circumstances. But what I also get with this is that this whole journey, this whole process has been very chaotic. What I get with you right now, the energy around you seems to be like everything has been thrown up in the air and you don't know which way it's going to turn. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I want to say, as you're going through this, I keep on being drawn towards the finances here. So I feel like there is some sort of financial change coming in for you. That I feel fundamentally I've got you landing on your feet. I'm very drawn towards like a significant life change here with you. A big one. So what I want to say here, the areas that I feel are going to be touched are home finances and work. Those are the three things that I feel are the three things that I feel that are going to be affected here for you are home, money and work. Does that make sense?
Yep. I've already done the home one.
Okay, wonderful. So you are now settled, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's still more change coming in for you. What I'm seeing here is almost like taking what feels like quite a bold move. You've already done some bold moves already so far this year. But I feel like it's almost like that next decision that you make, I feel is actually going to be, how can I put it? It's delivering you to a place of success. Okay, so there's been a huge amount of stress and strain as you're going through this transition. This has not been the easiest of transitions at all. Okay,
no.
But I do feel like you're almost like at the tail end of it. So what I've got coming in over the next 6 months for you is actually the sense of success and feeling as though you finally made it, you know. Financially strong is what I get here for you, but I'm also getting you're very intuitive yourself. You're very in tune, and I feel like that's coming in more and more over the coming months, to the point of where I feel like you'll be able to sense and feel what your next step is. But are you thinking of changing your job? Because I feel like I've got this work change coming in. Sorry, say that again?
I'm not actually working at the moment.
You're not working?
I'm not actually working at the moment, no.
Are you thinking of starting something?
Yes and no, I can't decide.
You can't decide. I feel I'm being shown abundance here, and it feels like it's self-generated. So even if it's something that you start that, how can I put it, it's for you, does that make sense? This is for you.
Yep.
I feel like I have got the financial abundance around it. And I feel here intuitively you will know that direction when the right time comes in. So at the moment, I want to say this is kind of stepping into the beginning of next year, okay? This is where I feel like I've got it being placed. But more importantly, I feel, how can I put it, your emotions, you're getting your heart's desire is very much within grasp here. You know, I feel like that house move, for whatever reason, had to take place in order for you to actually move your life forward. And even though things are very much up in the air for you at the moment, I do feel as though I've got that settling completely down and you knowing, how can I put it, the pathway opening up for you. That's what I'm being shown, opening up for you. So keep going. You're over the hard bits.
Is a man at the end of it?
Is there a man at the end of it?
I would hope so, but I would have a clue.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I would hope so, but I wouldn't have any idea.
I can't quite hear you. Can you just repeat that?
I said I would hope so, but I don't have any idea.
You
There's no one there at the moment.
Well, what I'm being shown here is, I want to say within the next 6 months, I've got your heart's desire there.
Oh, God.
Okay. Right, so I hope I hope that answered that for you. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Going to wish you lots of love and light. Goodbye for now. Okay, so that's the end of my show. That has gone in an absolute flash. Going to be here the same time next week. Stay tuned to A1R Psychic Radio for some more fantastic spiritual shows. If you want to get hold of me, my website's www.modern-mystic.co.uk. Bye for now.